Well,
And you got to run, but I'll talk to you guys in a bit.
Sounds
okay.
good, Dev. Take
Hey,
care, man.
Devin, thank you so much for coming. Next
Oh,
week,
no problem.
dwarfs.
I'll try if I can. Yeah, it's the first time I've actually been seeing you on when I'm home, so it's been like perfect.
I know.
Hey, Dev,
Yeah.
try getting both the Dostronic and the Uptronic if you can.
I know, because
I know that nobody knows what we're talking about, but yeah. Try to get both of them at least side by side. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I want them stacked if I'm gonna really come in.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a hold of Concept Aquariums, see if they'll sponsor my low boy.
Nice.
Hey,
Good luck.
on YouTube too.
Yeah.
So why does that? So why does it have to be a low boy? Why can't it be a low girl?
YouTube too.
Just to let you guys know, we are live on at least YouTube at this point.
Okay, let me have a look.
Okay. Should be.
Yep, you are. You're back up.
Go.
Okay.
Feel free to go continue.
Yeah.
And now I shut everybody up. Sorry.
No, that's fine. And so, yeah, she crashed, unfortunately, guys. So, yeah, she can explain that herself. You explain it. It's your stream.
Yes, I don't think I reset up so quickly that I will have to go to Facebook and apologize separately. I don't think I'm restreaming to Facebook, but apologies to anybody watching. The computer was on a power strip, but it wasn't plugged all the way in. So I am so sorry. Sorry. So while Reefer Madness chit chats about the weather, I'm gonna see if I can get this back on Facebook if that's okay.
Do your best. Yep. Don't worry about it. I mean,
just to practice, because we're just practicing as usual. Next week's Wine Wednesday will be on Dwarf Seahorses. Be there or be square. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
So yeah. So look, shameless plug. Don't forget to subscribe to Reefer Madness.
You little Everybody, thumb up this video. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Oh no, you gotta shamelessly plug yourself. If you don't, what are you doing? Right? You know. And I don't think that speaks to ego. You know what I smell though? Curry chicken and rice and Archer. That's what I smell coming. So you've got me for at least another 20 minutes and then I'm gone. I'm out of here. How you doing, Dre? How you doing, Bubba? No, not even close. Oh, my wife just told me no.
If anyone on Facebook is currently watching, it looks as if it resumed, but I'm curious to know if it just resumed.
Didn't see anything, by the way. I've been checking, but
well, I'm sorry that I did not explain that. That's what I said at the very beginning. Is that I actually went into a Seahorse group. And this is going live into a Seahorse group, so that's why I started. Everybody that's commenting from Facebook is talking Seahorse, is because So, but I'm curious, anybody watching on Facebook, if it came back on or not, just for future reference, because it looks like it did, but I don't know.
So I actually like that we got into the chat and we got talking about seahorses. Don't get me wrong, right? We all go off on tangents. Mm-hmm. Don't care what stream you're in; it's going to go tangent at some point. It's a matter of bringing it back on track, which you did a wonderful job. So kudos to you. I don't mind. You know, computers crash, things happen. So.
And I see Lucy. Lucy, you said that. We're back on track. Are you on Facebook or YouTube? Just out of curiosity. I'm just curious if it's still going there. And we won't keep this going much longer. I appreciate all of you guys.
It's on YouTube.
Just YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
It is on YouTube, yeah.
All right, well, you know what? Continue going to head chatting just for a few minutes so I can play with seeing if I can. I want to see if I could actually restart something on Facebook while I'm already live. So chat.
Nice. Well, thanks for putting me on the spot.
I'm just kidding.
You're not my real mom.
Mama said. All right.
I think everybody loves that one. I think Dave's Nanotank did that the best, though. Right? Those that are in the know what I'm talking about at that point. You're not my real dad.
And see, I've missed it all. I'm so bummed.
Well, it was a video put up by Fisher Hacks. You can
check
see
it
It's
out.
actually
Fisher
there.
Hacks is awesome. So
right, you know what I mean. But it's that's the whole thing. It said it ended. Yeah, so there you go. She's telling you the live didn't restart on Facebook. There you go. So she'll get it hammered out.
Sorry, guys.
Me and Colby don't even really understand that one. We know what it is. We know what it's supposed to do, but we're like, okay, why is it not working?
Well, Kelly's
I mean?
figuring it out. I mean,
You will. You just need the engine behind it. That's the whole trick, right?
Yes.
So I gave the link to Dan so that he could probably try to get on.
Yeah,
he's
please.
trying. I'm trying to help him.
Feel free.
Oh, is he trying to get on here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and send you guys the link that I was given, so that you guys, Kelly, if you could just copy and paste this over to him again.
Okay. Or maybe Reefer Madness, because I don't even know what link to go to right now.
I still have it.
No, it's over there. It's in Hangouts. Hangouts.
Yeah. Okay. I see. It dinged at me. All right. Sorry, guys. Anybody watching? I'm still learning, but we're getting it. See how cool this could be, though? Like, we had awesome Dev and Reefer Madness and Cruz and all these, and Dan Underwood and Lucy were in the comments, and we had DM and Tina. It could be cool. We could have lots of different people interacting in the same place.
Yeah, it's really cool to have Tina tell me to look into her eye.
Oh, I missed that part. But
yeah, there she goes. See, there she goes.
Look into my eye.
It's the middle finger.
You're probably seeing wood chips in there.
Yeah, that's what the anime girls do.
Yeah. No, it's I'm going. Hey, good news. I'm going to my LFS this weekend, so not for much of anything. I'm just getting pods, but it's all good for me. I fuss over my Mandarin a lot. If I don't see her, I start searching my tank because I want to make sure she's okay.
Mandarin too.
Yeah, and everyone, Eddie, if he's back, I'll be telling him, you don't have to wait forever. You just have to be willing to seed the tank. And me and Cruz will both be screeching it at him. Buy Miracle Mud. Buy Miracle.
Well, that's what I'm doing right now is seeding that tank. So.
Yeah. Now you just got to buy Miracle Mud.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tina, I missed what you were saying. Were you saying that you want to do Erectus, but you're afraid? Is that?
Yeah, I'm afraid they're too fragile.
Okay.
They're not though.
They're not.
Yeah.
If they're healthy, they're pretty, they're pretty robust. Kind of like corals. They used to say corals are very, very delicate. And until we actually started proving them wrong that they can propagate, they will survive even without light. It's like, wow, really? Yeah, I found that behind my freaking rock work. Really?
Yep.
I mean, it might not be colorful, but it's still alive.
Yeah. I hear you.
And your other thing, I think you to kind of bring it back to what Tina was saying about wanting to do one. You said all you have is hang on the back equipment. I think Kelly can tell you that still will work.
Having a sump attached is always the best way because more water volume equals more room for errors, and you have more room for equipment because a skimmer is kind of like the most essential piece in my opinion because of all of the organics and etc. But I do have tanks that have hang on back equipment. Pretty soon I'm going to do a walkthrough and show you all of my tanks on one of these streams and show you how all of them run. And I have 5 tanks that are run on hang on the back systems. I prefer the sumps, but you can absolutely do it. It's more maintenance is the bottom line. So I'm chopping.
Yeah, I would have to drill my
Hello, Dan.
I have an acrylic aquarium, so I'd have to drill it. And I don't know how.
Nope, you don't. You can get yourself, that Tom's Aqua Lifter pump that you have for your bubbling?
Yeah.
You can buy a CPR hang on the back overflow that actually has one of those attached to it. So even if the power goes out, guess what? It starts your siphon again so that you can overflow the tank. it's a little more. But if you want to do Seahorses, you're probably going to take your time anyway. So just acquire the equipment to do that. And hey, Lieutenant Dan.
Hey, Dan, don't be giving any dwarf advice. That's for next week. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, Dan, to the stream and finish Reefer Madness. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah. Is it ready? Sorry.
What?
Oops. Sorry, everybody. Hold on. Okay. So, yeah, there you go. Dan is in the place. Dan's in the house. How you doing, Dan? Can you hear us all right?
No, I can.
Cool. So, Tina, I'll help you out with that equipment, and I will send you a list, Kelly, of some good used gear to look for.
Okay.
And that kind of thing, and then work with. Is it Sean, your significant other?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll get. You can take that to him and say this is what he said would be best.
Okay.
And then kind of work your budget around that. Because trust me, what I'm going to send you a list for should cost you about $300 total.
Wow. Well, I can do that. I was getting ready to go out and buy a new computer literally today. I was sick of it.
Not worth it for what you're doing. You're going to use it specifically for this laptop. Great for doing everyday stuff. What I'll make sure is that you guys have the horsepower to do a stream the right way.
Gotcha.
All right.
Thank you so much.
But I gotta go.
Okay.
Because Thumper's calling and Archer needs to be laughed at. So
it's okay. Yeah. We won't go much longer. But Dan's here, so hey, we got to chit chat. So thank you, Reefer Madness, for all your help. I'll look for your message.
Sounds good. You guys take care. Peace.
Thank you.
Later, James.
So Dan, what do you say to people who consider who are more worried about keeping erect as seahorses? Are they hard?
No, actually, they're probably among the easiest species to keep.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're easier than dwarfs, right? I mean,
much easier.
And I know from talking to you at length that dwarf seahorses are. I know from talking to you at length. I'm trying to do too many things at the same time. That a sump is always the best option, but a person can easily do a 30-gallon or bigger tank. Stop! You're making me crazy. A 30-gallon or bigger tank with hang on the back equipment, and it's fine for erectus, correct?
I would say probably about 60 to 80% of the people that have erectus have hang on the back equipment.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And a 50-gallon acrylic should be good?
50-gallon acrylic would hold 2 pairs nicely.
Okay. Kelly, we still can't hear you, hon.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Okay. Maybe I wasn't.
I'm looking at I think there's a delay.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking at my computer.
I'm sorry.
And I see, no, it's okay. It's on my end. I see you talking, but I don't hear anything. So.
And I really, honestly, I had said that I was going to test a few more things with Hangouts because I definitely want to do this, bringing people together. But I'm going to try Discord too because then we could use voices and there wouldn't be faces, but a lot of people don't use the faces anyway. So I'm going to try some different things so I don't look like I'm in a karate movie. But it's still good information. It's worth it. So anyhow, you guys, Dan's here. You might ask the questions. If you want to do seahorses, he's the one. And I'll start because it was a blank. Let's see. Dan, what if...
Yeah, we're shy. We're shy, Kelly.
Right. Yeah, right. Tina, you have a 50-gallon acrylic, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And you're wanting to do seahorses, but you're worried. So, Dan, what would you tell someone with a 50-gallon acrylic tank as far as advice for basic setup? Would you tell them to use substrate? Would you tell them to use skimmer? Would you walk them through it?
Sump or no sump?
No sump.
It would probably be no sump.
Okay. The first thing is I would probably go with a relatively fine sand. I would put some rock in the tank. I wouldn't try to do like a typical reefer and put, 65 tons in there. Typically, what I like to see in a seahorse tank is some rock on one side and like macroalgae on the other side. Um, Seahorses are more of an estuary creature than a reef creature, and you'll find they'll hang out in the macroalgae more so than around the rock. And then
Okay.
good mechanical hang on the back filter that does a good job of mechanically filtering the water. You'll need a hang on the back protein skimmer. And then the biggest challenge for some people, depending upon the climate, is going to be temperature. You want to keep the temperature in the low to mid 70s. And short of that, I mean, the rest of it is just a matter of tank maintenance and taking care of them. Erected seahorses, kept properly, should last you somewhere between 5 to 7 years.
Oh, sorry.
Nice. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on those, and I'm liking the gorgonians that I've seen and some caulerpa and stuff like that. As far as the macroalgae, I don't know a lot about macroalgae or what I can get, but I did, I do have some sort of idea, like my AquaClear 110, I obviously know will work, because that's what I had on it before when I used it as a reef tank. I switched over from my acrylic one into a 75 with a sump for my reef. So now I've got this little, big tank sitting there doing nothing. And they don't need any special type of lighting.
No, the lighting typically on a seahorse tank is usually geared more towards the other inhabitants, such as the macroalgae, the corals, and things like that.
Okay.
Seahorses will adjust to the lighting. What I will say, though, is that if you have, they seem to color up better under LED lighting, or if you're going with fluorescents, try to get into the more whites around 6,000, 6,500K.
Okay, so more than what my T5 is?
I'm not real familiar with the T5s, to be honest. In our setups, we don't even have lights on the tank. We have overhead lighting.
Oh, okay.
I bet.
Well, 'cause I was-
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, Cruz, are you still there? Is that Cruz's face?
Still here.
Cruz is the lighting man. 6500K is perfect for macros. Not perfect, but for
And a little bit warmer as well. 3,
So
5,
a,
and 6.
a T5 and an LED should work fine for growing because that's what I had on it before.
Yeah, I would utilize the 5000K natural daylight.
So not the
And
10,000 I have on it now.
No, it's too cool. Too cool for a lot of the red macroalgae as well.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Dan, go ahead if you were still talking.
I wasn't, but the 5,000 will work just fine with seahorses.
Right.
I've just found that when I'm using the overhead lighting, I'm finding that somewhere in the more of the natural daylight type tones, you get better coloration with seahorses. In fact,
Okay.
it was interesting. We had a setup where we put multiple tanks on a system, and the tanks closest to the window, the seahorses were more colorful and grew faster where some natural sunlight came in versus the ones that were further in that had the artificial light.
Amazing.
Yeah, see, I'm stuck in a situation where I'm in a lower level, so like my basement is completely finished, and that's where they would be, and there's not really a whole lot of natural light that gets. I've got one window. It brings in some, but I mean.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say the funny thing is that some of our corals that are closer to the normal daylight, like they would get it for about 5 to 10. Yeah, I want to say, between 5 and 6 o'clock when the sun starts setting, we get it. We catch like one of the tanks, and for some reason the corals also exude a little bit better color in that one corner of it. Instead of just the 100% full artificial lighting. I mean, we get beautiful corals, but just that one corner gets a little bit more intense coloration than the rest of it. So, I mean, Dan might be onto something here too. And that's one of the reasons why we also run 5,000 KT5s, in our lighting rig as well for our overhead lighting.
I gave a talk recently over in Tampa to a reef club, and one of the reef members put two, not skylights, but two of the tubes up in his through his roof to bring sunlight down onto his tank, and his tank virtually exploded with color and growth.
Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. The cooler the temperature, basically the higher kelvins, they do exude some coloration, and they don't promote too much algal growth. But the thing is that you're doing it so artificially, that you don't get the full growth, the growth spurts, and also the full photosynthetic, abilities of the coral. So no, I mean, I think sunlight is definitely, the closer we could get to sunlight with some of our artificial rigs, I think the better and the easier it would actually be for us to keep them.
Real quick, before anybody else talks, because I don't want to interrupt, I just wanted to say, Lucy, I apologize if I'm missing comments. I'm not very good at jumping back and forth. Tina, thank you so much for replying to comments. I love you all. Thank you. And to Tina, while we're sitting here conversating about how much natural light can help coloration and corals and such, I'm going to tell you again that seahorses aren't very difficult and they can go under. The whole point was they can go under almost any lighting and be fine. You don't want a bunch of bright lighting that's going to cause a bunch of algae and, because it will grow on the seahorses. And if you want the seahorses to be a brighter color or better, if you're looking for color, if that's what matters, then natural sunlight might help, but they'll be okay under anything. I literally have seahorses that don't even have a light at all. They're just from the, yeah. So just letting you know, it's not a thing like if you can't do natural sunlight or highlight or whatever, that you couldn't do seahorses is all I wanted to say. So go ahead. But
Well, I'd be more worried. I'm not necessarily worried about the lighting for the seahorses, but for
macros.
the macro, yeah, the macroalgae. And, if I were to put corals in there, I'd want to make sure that my corals were getting the amount of light that they need, obviously.
And with coral, of course, then you're there's only so many coral you can put with seahorses. I mean, I want you to do a seahorse tank so bad because I think you will love it. People that do seahorse tanks and they think ahead of time, oh, well, I want to do all these other things with them. And then they do the seahorse tanks, like myself, for instance. I should speak just for myself. But I did a seahorse tank, and now I'm so in love with seahorse tanks that half of my seahorse tanks do not have anything else in them. They're so awesome. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't do all of those other things, but don't overdo it and then have to worry about all these extra things when you could do a tank that would be really awesome by itself. But of course, you're right. If you're looking at macroalgae and coral, just make sure you pick types that are okay with seahorses and then choose the appropriate lighting. And you're doing a good job asking, and Cruz and Dan are answering well. So I'll hush and let you guys talk again.
Which corals are best for them? Are we looking at softies?
I'm going to let Dan field this question because I don't put coral, aside from gorgonians that I quarantined for a really long time, I don't put any coral in my tank. So Dan, answer, if you would please.
Well, I know about as much about corals as I do rocket science. But what I will say is that it has to be corals that are not capable of stinging seahorses. And part of the problem you have with corals with seahorse is that seahorses, their natural tendency is to use their tail to hitch to things, and they'll rough up the corals. So you want something relatively hardy, something that doesn't sting the seahorses. Mushrooms and some of the other different things can come in there and work just fine with seahorses. But you have to stay away from anything that has the potential of stinging them.
Okay, so mushrooms, obviously toadstools will probably be okay, as well as pulsing zinnia and possibly Kenya trees.
As long as I'm gonna cut in, sorry, but as long as you're familiar with keeping those coral.
I have all of those now in my reef tank.
then you'll be golden. I've got pictures on my Facebook and such of fry tanks that had